guys, hi, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be somewhat different for me, but kind of the same. Today I'm going to be doing my makeup, but as you can see, my eyes are already done, so I'm just going to be doing my base makeup. And I figured I would use products that I use the most use out of in 2020. So kind of like my holy grails of 2020, if you will. Most of these products were not purchased in 2020. Most were purchased in 2019. I kind of took a break from purchasing makeup this year unless I absolutely wanted it or had to have it as far as like needing the product, because I'm trying to get through what I have in my collection. I'm not trying to be a minimalist by any means. I'm not saying I'm not going to purchase more makeup, but this year with everything going on in the world, I kind of wanted to scale back my purchasing and work through some of the products that I have already. So with that, I have found some products that I continually use. You guys have noticed probably in some of my makeup videos, the ones that I continue to go to, but I wanted to dedicate a video to it. So I am going to start off by moisturizing, and the moisturizer I often use is this Milk Vegan Moisturizer. I actually did purchase this container this year. I purchased it when it first came out and I really enjoyed it. It's not too thick, but it is thicker than the water cream, the Tatcha water cream, which is the other one that I like to moisturize in the morning before I put on makeup. That one is super lightweight. So whenever it's very hot out, or if my skin is kind of not as dry as it can be, I will use that one. But I really enjoy this Milk one. It is a thicker consistency, but it sinks into the skin within a few minutes. It doesn't take long. It doesn't make my skin feel tacky. It doesn't give me that greasy feeling. I don't even think it gives me a greasy look, to be honest. Like, even this looks more dewy to me than greasy. You guys let me know if you feel otherwise. But I always start off with moisturizer. Before I come into my makeup room to do my makeup, I have already washed my face and put any skincare on that I'm going to put on. I do not follow one of the cardinal rules of skincare and makeup, and that is to put sunscreen on. I really don't. I know that's terrible, but I work inside, and although I travel in my vehicle, that's about it. If I am going to actually be outside, then I will make sure to put on a sunscreen. So after this soaks in, I will typically go in with a primer, and the one that I enjoyed most of 2020 is actually this Kaja Blur Drop. I don't know if this is sold anymore. And I actually purchased this while it was on sale. So I'm not sure if it's a product they offer anymore, but I find that this does a good job as far as priming. The other primers I typically will use is the Tatcha Silk Canvas in the liquid form, or the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip. The Milk Makeup one is super sticky. It feels like aloe vera to me, and it kind of smells like aloe vera too. Nothing against aloe, but I'm somebody who used to burn a lot in Florida, and so when I was younger and I wasn't very responsible with putting sunscreen on my body, so it's almost like a take me back to that. So I don't typically use that one unless I really need my makeup to stay on all day and all night. Like if I'm going in for a really long shift, or I'm doing something that I know I need to have my makeup on longer than like a typical day, then I will use the Hydro Grip. It does phenomenal. I really just am not a fan of the consistency that it is. The Tatcha does a great job as well, but the Kaja one is almost hydrating, and it does have a slight silicone feel because it does fill in the pores. It does fill in my pores, so I prefer to use that one. I've talked with you guys before about my Holy Grail foundations, and that would be the Fenty Beauty foundation, or I don't know if I have I have the bottle. I think I do. It's right here. The Estee Lauder Double Wear. I do not have any of this. I have about 20 items I need to repurchase that I use daily, but that is one of the ones I prefer to use. It's the closest one to my skin, like my skin color. The Fenty one is a little bit off, but once I bronze and put blush on, it ends up looking fine. All right, so I zoomed us in just a little bit so we can really see the effects of having those products on. I mean, it just makes my skin plump and healthy looking. It gets a little bit of a shine to it, but it's not greasy. It's not greasy to the touch. So once all that stuff has sunk in, I go in with my foundation, which is the Fenty Beauty. This is a soft matte foundation. I find it more is a satin finish to me. It could be because I always have products underneath, but I don't find this overly matte. I'm not sure what shade this is. It's shade 150. My skin tone's fairly light, and honestly I could probably go down a shade to a shade lighter because this is almost, once it's blended out, it does darken a little bit from oxidation. So I prefer, depending on the day, I typically prefer to apply with a brush and then go over with a sponge. I feel that a brush really spreads it out evenly. I find whenever I personally apply my foundation with a sponge, it doesn't always apply evenly, but I will go over this with a sponge to make sure that there is no excess product anywhere, to make sure that it is totally blended as much as it can be into the skin and that there's nothing sitting on top. That is the only thing I don't like when I do just a foundation and I don't go back in over with a sponge, is I find that it will sometimes slide off in parts that it typically wouldn't if I had gone back in over it. So I just make sure it's in all of the places that I like my foundation to be, which is pretty much all over my face. And I don't know if I've talked with you guys at all about it or not. My nose is a problem area for me. I don't know, it's not super textured. Part of it is, I guess. So foundations can look kind of cakey on my nose. A dry sponge. I typically don't use damp sponges. When I try to use a damp sponge, I find that it picks up the product more than sets the product down. So I just take a few seconds to go over. So once I have this down, occasionally I will go in with concealer. It's not all the time. I will use a little bit today. I'm gonna go in with the Morphe Concealer, and I am going to use the ever so slightest amount on my inner corners. And then I will get a brush. So this is the kind of brush I use for concealer, just like a synthetic dome brush, so it can get up in there. And then I just pat it down and drag it out. I am going to look over here into my mirror. And it's not often that I do this, to be quite honest. After I have that on, I will go in with a pressed powder. If I'm wanting coverage, like additional coverage, I go in with the Maybelline Fit Me. When I don't want any additional coverage, I just go in with the translucent, or the Rimmel Stay Matte. Mine is kind of broken because this is another item I need. But I get a really large domed fluffy brush that's not densely packed, and then just pat it on my face. And I don't use a lot of powder to do this. I just use enough to set down any bit of my foundation that is damp. And this is more so I can easily blend my bronzer and blush on. I have tried to avoid doing this, and I find that it catches. So I just set my whole face lightly, and then if I have put any concealer on or any foundation close under my eyes, I will take it and dust it up under my eyes as closely as I can to try and make sure that that's set all the way down. Use it all the time. Is the Fenty Beauty. The one that I have in the larger size is in the sun, but the one that I have in a sample size is Shady Biz, and this is a little bit more of a bronze shade. And I don't really contour or bronze specifically. I kind of do both at the same time. I take a domed brush like this where it's kind of thin. I just take this and I swirl it in the product, and then I knock all the excess off, and I start up here, and then I just do a little line like that. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. And I have stated recently, I've started to place my bronzer a little bit, bronzer, contour, whatever you want to call it, a little bit higher. And then I just take it on the temples of my forehead and along my jawline with the darker shade. Then I will take a lighter shade, which is the Into Sun shade, and then I will just go over that to blend it out. And this has hit some major pan. For these bronzers, I know there's a ton of reviews on these bronzers. Their shade selection in this bronzer is phenomenal. I also believe that they blend out seamlessly. Before I was using the Fenty bronzer, I have several that I have tried to go through and try, but the blend is like effortless on these. I was having super patchy makeup there for a while, and it was just because I was struggling to get it blended out all the way. With this one, I don't find that I struggle to get it blended. Then my favorite blush to use is out of this Jouer blush palette. This is my favorite shade to use up here. It's technically down at the bottom. It's called Adore Me, and it's like a light rose pink mauve color, and I feel it just is a very good complementary color to. So I just like to place this up under here, and then I take my powder brush and I just blend it all together. I'm not sure if this really does anything. I feel like it does, and it makes me feel comfortable leaving my house. I feel like it just diffuses any of the rough edges that I may have had, and it just brings it all together. At least that's what I think it does. So once I have completed that, it depends on what I'm doing for my eye makeup. If I'm actually going for an eye look, I will typically already have my eyeshadow done. If I am just doing eyeliner and mascara, I would do that at this point. Occasionally I will do my brows, so we will do that. And my favorite product for that is the Urban Decay. This is the Brow Endowed. I also enjoyed their Brow Blade. This has the like felt tip, and it has the pencil to fill in. I need a little bit more concentration when I'm using that, but as far as like my favorite product is this. Whenever I use this, I am not super precise about it. I start off at the back of my brows because it's where the most color is when you pull it out of the tube. So I just brush it through, and then I'll take it through the front and comb through them. I find that this doesn't deposit as much color as the Anastasia one does. I've never been good about doing my eyebrows, so I thought this would be easy, and it was easy, but I was depositing too much color, and then I would struggle to get it to look any resemblance of natural. So once the Urban Decay one came out, I tried that. I've also tried the sample size of the GimMe Brow. I am not a huge fan of the applicator on this. The applicator on this is very much like a small mascara wand. It's pretty thick, and the Urban Decay one is very thin. So those are my favorite base products. This is my typical go-to base. I will sometimes throw on a gloss, and one of my favorite ones is the Patrick Ta gloss. I also really enjoy the Fenty Beauty glosses, the gloss bombs. I know she just came out with the creams, what is that? What are they calling them? The Fenty Beauty cream bombs, maybe? Because I know those are called the gloss bombs. Again, as you can tell, I don't typically wear highlighter. If I do wear a highlight, the one I often will grab, there's one of two that I grab depending on what color I'm going for. I will grab this Becca one, which is Opal. It's like a very pink champagne. Or I will grab this Blossom Glow from Wet n Wild. They're obviously both pink champagne colors. That's what I prefer on my skin. I have a few others. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. This is my favorite base products of 2020. These are my go-to products on almost a daily basis when I do my makeup. I will, if I am getting ready for different things or if I'm gonna be hanging around the house, obviously I use other products that I have, but these are my favorite products to use, especially in combination together. If you enjoy this eye look, I will link the video above if it's been posted. If not, keep an eye out for the Natasha Denona e.l.f. Comparison review. If you can tell, these are a little bit different, and that's because I used two different palettes on each eye. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any requests or ideas for me, shoot them my way. Otherwise, I hope you have a good day, evening, or night, wherever you are. Bye, guys.